Sarah. Thanks for joining us to tell us about your beer journey. So let's start at the beginning.
Thank
What
you.
was your gateway beer, or what brought you into craft beer?
Um, well, a little bit of two things. Yes. Gateway beer. Oddly enough, I have a twofer. My very first love was a little bit darker beers, porters, and very well balanced kind of stouts in a way. So oddly enough, way I was when I started drinking Newcastle Brown Ale. And that kind of led me into a whole downward spiral of liking browns and brown ales and things like that. But my big craft gateway beer was definitely Sierra Nevada, and it kind of was brought in front of me when I started working at a really cool craft beer bar in Las Vegas, Nevada, called Aces and Ales, and it was a very, very, very big moment in my life where craft was coming in, and then I learned about the Cicerone program, and everything else after that has just been a catalyst to push me forward into my career field and my whole career period.
Can you walk us through your career path in the beer industry from your first role to where you're at now?
Yeah. So it started many, many moons ago again. In Las Vegas is kind of where it really, really projected itself. I worked again at Aces and Ales. I was very much into craft beer at that time. I was hanging out with a group of people. We call ourselves the Share Bears. There's a bunch of beer nerds in Las Vegas, and we would all get together every Sunday and we meet up over at Tenaya Creek, and we would have beers and we would talk about beers, and we'd have very sanctioned events where you were only bringing Sierra Nevada and you were going to do a Rattler, or you were only bringing this IPA and we're going to bring your ingredient and we're going to put it through a Rattler, or today is only sours only from your region, whatever your favorite one is. And so we would go through this for weeks and weeks and months, and up until I kind of realized that the guys and the women in the group had two different variants of flavors or off things that they would all come up with. Like, this is their flavor profile, and then this was our flavor profile. We all kind of started deep diving, and we found the Cicerone program. We found doing more sanctioned BJCP certified kind of. During that whole time frame, I was helping start a nonprofit for women's education. I was working towards my beer server at the time, back in 2010, I want to say, maybe 11, where Cicerone program was just coming on board, and it was just like this whole thing, even to start at the very beginning. And a lot of us that worked in the industry over in Las Vegas, we were all taking part in of workshops that were being offered from Nevada Spirits. I think it is Nevada. They're a pretty big distributor out there in Las Vegas. And so they would have these, little holes. And one time, Mike Helper, he actually had an extra spot, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to get in on this?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So I was able to get through basically the entire Cicerone schedule at the time back then, and sit in on the ground floor on some teachings about it, and went through, beer tastings and all of the motions, everything. And I was just lost. I was immersed, and this was my thing. This is where I want to be. I'm going to become a brewer. I'm going to do all of this stuff. I'm never going to look back. This is my industry. And at that time, I was nursing. I was a nurse, so it was like working out at the base. I had my kids. I ran around. I had a nighttime fun time job, working at Aces, and just throwing myself into beer. I'd go to Lee's liquor store out there in Vegas, and I would just go through every week, and I would buy new bottles. And I became friends with the sales guys and everybody, and I was just one of those big beer nerds in Las Vegas, and it just catapulted me. So it was, yeah, it's been a minute.
So what role has formal beer education played in your journey?
Like a beer server at a beer forward restaurant, and then starting to home brew and then teaching others how to be a part, how to have beer in your food world and beer pairings and understand like that, how that all meshed together. So me working as front of house staff and management was exactly where it was. So becoming beer server manager at a brewery. Then from Las Vegas, my husband and I got stationed from the Air Force up to Alaska, and we started there. And I immediately knew where I was going to work. I knew what I was going to do. I wanted to work for Anchorage Brewing Company. I had to work for Dave Fletcher. I had to be in the forefront of his sour program and his Bread is King and Britannomyces program. So I immediately got a job there, and just continued educating others and doing this whole Cicerone forward, from a brewer's perspective, from someone who's just obsessed with beer and how all of the intricacies kind of go into one. So I just did a lot of free talk. Like I gave up my knowledge for free to anyone and everyone who would listen. And trust me, I probably talked a lot of ears off back there, and I still do today. But beer tending, working in the front of house was the big thing, and then I got my big kind of push into production brewing when I was in Alaska, and Gabe gave me my first shot of production brewing and brewing on his brew deck, and getting to hang out in the cellar with the crew and stuff like that, and just learning from him. And then it just continued to grow. So, yeah.
Tell us what you're up to now. So I know you're brewing now. Where are you at?
Yeah. So from there, that was 10 years ago. That was where it all kind of started and began 10, 15 years ago. I've been commercial brewing for the last 10 years. I've traveled all over the place. And when I say all over the place, I mean from Alaska to Maui to the East Coast. I've collaborated, brewed at places like the Vale and Horace and Resident Culture. I worked with them. I've literally been everywhere. Fort Worth, Texas, all the way back up to Alaska. And now I'm back in Texas, where my circle for me, my beer world kind of starts and ends here in South Texas. I'm at Fast Friends Beer Company. I am the head brewer and director of Beverage and beer program here. And I came on just a few months ago, actually, from Alaska, and I have a wonderful staff. I started Draft Labs information. I've been slowly getting them tinkling them into the Cicerone program and education, and then I have a whole brewers team, like my cellar and my lead brewer and everybody on the other side. They're all very much beer nerds and education forward, and that's like the caveat for me is like the more you can possibly invest in your brain and understand your sensory and your knowledge and your concepts and everything, then it really helps you to become a better beer tender, but also for me it makes me be a better brewer.
So you mentioned some already in this, but let's jump into the concept of mentorship is extremely important for everyone as they grow in their careers and lives. Have you had any beer mentors that have really like changed your life, and how?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, there's a huge list. I would say, man, I hate putting names out there, but there's quite a few that are within the upper echelon of Master Cicerone and Advanced Cicerone, and a lot of people that you work with, Barry, that one, not only have like helped me kind of calm down some of my craziness that I start to get to, but also has assisted me as a mentor to some of my mentees. Like I can call on them to ask them, hey, Miss Blair, can you help so-and-so get through this program? This is where they're at. This is their starting point. The same for, oh my gosh, like as soon as you say this, of course, all the names just leave my brain. So many other people that have like, if I need help or assistance within the Cicerone program, I have so many of my mentors that help me or help me along the road to get to all of these like spaces. I did receive a wonderful scholarship several years ago, back in the very beginning, from Eugenia, And it was to do my road to Cicerone courses, or to do get into the course matches. And so with all of these other people that have helped me kind of along the way, I make sure that I turn that around. So I always, if someone needs assistance, if someone wants to borrow any of my books or any of my flashcards or anything like that, I'm always there for them. Max, obviously Max Finance, he's an amazing human. He definitely, all of these little people, these people are in that circle, but also have helped me throughout the time. There's not just one person. There's definitely a plethora of humans that in our industry, as you know, definitely are always willing to assist and be there for you.
When you're teaching others about beer now, what's one concept you think everyone should really understand better?
I think that everyone should understand that each time you take a beer and you go through its motions, that it's your perception. Yes, of course, there's all these guidelines that push you through to understand why the beer might taste this way, or why the beer might not taste this way, or what is missing or what isn't missing. But more than anything, everyone here in my staff, I try to make sure that they understand that this is their perception. Your taste buds are different than my taste buds, and how your trigeminal nervous system is going to understand sweet and tart and super hoppy or any of those types of flavors. They might have it super heightened or a little less. I'd like everyone to understand that yes, there are correct nuances and possibilities, but there isn't any incorrect answer when it comes to what you're tasting and how you feel about a beer. I want people to be comfortable with it. I don't want them to feel like, man, this is really textbook. I should know all these exact points, but I want them to feel comfortable understanding that this is their perception. This is their taste. This is their mouth. This is their body, that they will feel and understand this beer their way. In South Austin in particular, we have an incredibly diverse team of people here that come from all over the region, not only just from Texas, but all over the US and all over the world. So I always tell them to smell this beer and allow yourself to go to your childhood, allow yourself to go to a happy place, or maybe it's a sad place, I don't know, but allow yourself to have some sort of olfactory memory of and connection with this beer, because then that helps you continue to tell this positive story about the beer, about what you smell and how you are intaking this and everything else. And I really want everyone to have that concept of understanding, because here at Fast Friends, we want you to become fast friends with our beer. We want you to become fast friends with how you're feeling about the beer and how you're just, intaking it. And so it's good when you can kind of give them that normal feeling about beer, just positive feels.
Absolutely. All right. If you could go back and give yourself a piece of advice when you were first starting in beer and your beer career, what would it be?
Stop having so much self-doubt. I took the advanced Cicerone test twice. The first time I failed miserably. The second time I failed still, and I have yet to give myself a third time. And I think it is that you need to keep trying. And it's okay that your failing is part of learning. And so for me to have failed twice and to not have gone back, and I looked on my portfolio, it has been since 2020 that I haven't opened my system. I haven't even looked at it, because I told myself, nope, you're done. You failed twice. That's it. We're not going backwards. We need to go forward. And I think the forward is still that none of this has ever been for someone else. Me having certifications or me advancing my education or my knowledge or anything, it's always been for myself. And then so that when I learn it and I learn it really well, then I can give it back to somebody else. And so I need to make sure that I follow through for myself. And that's what I would tell myself. You need to finish what you started.
It's good advice for yourself for today. It is a very difficult exam. I'm sure you'll get it on the next round.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording now, unless there's anything else you'd like while we're doing that. And we just kind of hang out for a second. I'm going to finish this beer and just jump off whenever you're ready.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Barry.